I decided to do the video reflection just because I really don't like writing. Sorry about that. And I'm gonna talk about mostly my relationship with my best friend, who is also my quote unquote cousin. And I'm gonna specifically talk about like our relationship like over time and how it like ultimately came into termination, but we were able to come to like senses about that. And so I'm gonna like first like talk about how like we became like friends, and like we started to become friends like kindergarten actually, so we were like pretty little. And over time, with like the birds of a feather effect that was mentioned in the video, of how we tend to draw to people that like we have like common, like a lot in common with. And that was like kind of us. We had a lot of stuff in common, and over time like we became friends up until we hit second grade and I moved away. And then fast forward about 4 years later, we were in the same science class at the new school that we were both going to. And we both kind of hit off from there. And I know in the video, a lot of the things that were mentioned, like terminology wise, were mostly about like romantic relationships, but I'm going to be applying them to like friendships and stuff like that. And so we were very open like with each other, like managing strategies wise. Most of our social networks were very excuse me for my voice. Most of our social networks were very united. We had a lot of the same friends. We were in the same friend group actually, so it actually like helped us a lot. And we would always hang out, which would be like sharing activities and like sharing tasks of our classes, assurance of like we would always be there for each other and stuff like that. However, like this all led like up to like eighth grade, and like when we hit high school, however, a lot of things ended up changing. And obviously high school is a big change. However, for the both of us, it was very different in the sense of our friendship and our relationship. And we had a lot of, our social networks were starting to change. He was starting to make new friends. Of course, I'd be happy for him, and I was too. But he started to like distance himself from that because of the new social networks. And I was obviously being kind of isolated. We weren't having a lot of like the same like quality time and not hanging out, which also like impacted our relationship. And also the inequity that was like brought up in the video as well, about how one person gives more and then the other one person is like receiving it. I was tending to give more, which led me to like obviously be angry with him like in the video. And he was starting to feel more on the guilty side, but he wouldn't express it. And this comes later with like the way we like make up and stuff. And then the circumscribing, where it was more, let me see if I can pull it up. The circumscribing, where we didn't have anything quality wise to like share about, like, hey, that was it. Like we would always like talk and like make like conversation and stuff because like we were really close. But then it was becoming more of like, you're always with your friends, so we don't hang out, so we have really nothing to talk about. And then it like vice versa. And so it was a lot of that. And this is like when we were like first starting to come apart, and I was like noticing it, but I didn't really want to talk about it to him just because I didn't want to face the reality. And then the stagnating, I think that's how you say it, I forgot, of we actually have nothing to talk about, and I have no reason to talk to you because we're slowly distancing ourselves off. And I ultimately came up with the plan of, you don't talk to me anymore. Like I would try to make conversation with you and you just kind of flee your way out of it. Like you're very fidgety, and then you just kind of walk off mid conversation to go find your new friends. And then I was like, I'm not gonna do this. And we ultimately came up to termination. And then a couple months later, he texted me. I feel like I'm gossiping with someone. This is gonna be like really funny. And it ultimately came to the sense of, I can take accountability for my actions, and we started over, and now we're in a lot better like position than when we were beforehand. So I think even though it's not what you always like anticipate and want, it actually helped us become like better friends. And I also wanted to talk about the emotional currency just because I never really thought of it that way. Like when it was like brought up, I thought it was like really cool. And I think I need to now like take more into accountability of the emotional currency of make sure I have money in my piggy bank to like pay for these conflicts, and how I can tend to stride away from them, because that's ultimately what I kind of want, is not to take money out of my piggy bank because then I have no money. And so yeah, that is my reflection video. Thank you for listening.